So, people, yesterday we got the announcement that Ben Whittaker, who, although still sort of a prospect, maybe domestic level, maybe that's kind of where he's at now, but roughly at the prospect stage, has made the decision to sign a long-term promotional deal with Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. He'll be fighting live on DAZN moving forward. Now, this move, do I want to say it came as a bit of a surprise? Yes, it did. I did wonder what the deal was with Ben Whittaker because, as I said, he's been out of the ring for a while now, over 6 months. And we'd heard Ben Shalom say he might be out in November, but, we're not hearing anything after that. Ben Whittaker's not saying anything. So you're kind of like, all right, what's going on here? Plus, we're also hearing it's only 4 dates with BBC, stuff like that. So you're thinking, what's actually going on here? Well, he announces his signing with Eddie Hearn. I think it's a Friday week because they have a show on that evening in the York Hall, George Liddard versus Kieran Conway. That afternoon, they're going to do like a big unveiling, the big press conference. Ben Whittaker joins Matchroom. It's a good move for Matchroom, I have to say, because Ben Whittaker and Eddie Hearn, you can just see those two clicking. Ben Whittaker is a very charismatic, larger-than-life type of guy, even in the ring and outside the ring. Eddie Hearn likewise. So you can see how that partnership, I should really be saying, fighter and promoter. You can see how that could work. Also, it helps the fact that Ben Whittaker is a big name amongst not just boxing fans, but casual audience. His views on YouTube, on some of his highlight reels from his amateur days to some of his pro fights have generated millions upon millions of viewers. So people are talking about him. A lot of people know him. And it's quite, once you see a fighter at Ben Whittaker's level, who again, he's not even won a British title, but he's already turning heads. He's already got people talking about him. People know who Ben Whittaker is. So when you have a fighter like that, you're onto a good thing. Whether he becomes world champion or not, that remains to be seen. He's doing better now that he's with Andy Lee, so I think he's got the right foundation in place. Let's see how he goes. So good stuff for Eddie Hearn, good stuff for Ben Whittaker. We need to see him more active, as I said. In the last year, 2 fights against the same guy. It's not enough, right? This now means we need to turn our attention to Ben Shalom. And we got to ask the question, what's gone wrong? I asked this question before, and it just seems like every single time I ask the question, something else goes wrong. And in a big way. Ben Shalom has not... So, when Ben Shalom started with Sky, it was late 2021. And in all fairness, you had to give him the benefit of the doubt. Sky Sports had just had a long-term deal with Eddie Hearn. That was now gone. He was the new guy on the block. No one knew who Ben Shalom was. I mean, I remember Frank Warren giving an interview with IFL and he mentioned Ben. I was like, who the hell is that? I was thinking Sauerland or Mick Hennessy. I was like, who the hell is Ben Shalom? Never heard of him. The first couple of shows were not stellar, to say the least. I think Eubank was on one of them. But at the end of the day, you had a new promoter who was trying to find his feet on a major network. So you had to give him the benefit of the doubt. You had to. He had a really good moment when Jack Catterall... It was a bad situation, Jack Catterall losing to Josh Taylor that night in Glasgow. I think it was in Glasgow. But Ben Shalom handled it very, very well. He handled that situation very, very well. He was very dignified in how he was speaking. I don't think he had a deal with either fighter, to be honest with you, but he was very good in how he handled the situation. So I was thinking, okay, there's a lot of good stuff coming here with Ben Shalom, you would think. He was signing fighters like Fraser Clark. He was signing fighters like Ben Whittaker, for example, Adam Azim, Vidal Riley. He then got CBS. He got CBS versus Chamberlain, etc., etc., etc. He was doing good things. And he was taking fighters from people like Eddie Hearn, from people like Frank Warren. He was getting fighters like Joseph Parker, Michael Hunter, Hughie Fury. He signed Jack Catterall briefly at one stage. Who else did he have? He had, he wasn't, Eubank was with, actually was a man at the time, but he was fighting on Sky Sports. So it was kind of a partnership deal, a bit like what he has now. It was still a good name to have, right? So we had a lot of guys, and I'm probably forgetting a few as well. We had a lot of guys on his books, and it was looking good. He was very much bigging up the female scene in the UK as well. We had the likes of Cara's Artenstall. I think he still has her now. He had Lauren Price, Caroline Dubois, etc. So he had a good foundation there, all right? I want to say it was late 2022 when you started noticing some problems. That's when we stopped seeing Adam Smith. He'd taken a backward seat. We didn't know at the time. Obviously, he had cancer, but we didn't know at the time. But he would subsequently leave boxing on Sky anyway, having been head of boxing for years upon years. And he started, making questionable decisions, oh, you can't say that in this interview or remove that. And, you're kind of thinking, nah, hang on a minute. This isn't exactly what you want to be seeing. Then you have fighters like Sam Egerton saying, oh, well, he's not entertaining enough for Sky Sports. You're like, well, hang on a minute. No offense, but Lauren Price is? What? That doesn't make any sense. And then you see fighters exodus, Jack Catterall never made his debut. He never made his debut with Boxer. Joseph Parker had technically 2 fights, but one of them was on Queensberry when he fought Joe Joyce. The other one was when he fought, I can't remember his name now, but the cruiserweight guy, the guy who got knocked out by Apataya in a couple of rounds. I can't remember, Jack Massey. And then he was gone, left, gone, see it, gone straight to Frank Warren. He signs Lawrence Okoli, going to make him a big star. That didn't happen. Now he's with Frank Warren. Signed Joshua Buatsi from Eddie Hearn. What happened there? Nothing. You see where I'm going with this. There's obviously fundamental problems there. When these fighters are signing deals with Ben Shalom, some of them aren't even debuting. Some of them are having one and done fights, and they're not even looking like they want to re-sign. I think Fabio Wardley, after he fought Fraser Clark the first time, I think he was a free agent for that, and he was speaking openly about wanting to go back to Eddie Hearn. He ultimately landed with Frank Warren. But you see what I mean? He's not endearing these guys. That's a problem. And now we're in a situation where you have this, you've not got your Sky deal, that's gone. So a major platform which had a major reach, all that marketing, all that money, that's now gone. And now your roster is depleted beyond belief, to the point where you've got fighters like Vidal Riley, gone. Joshua Buatsi, gone. Lawrence Okoli, gone. Joseph Parker, gone. I mean, I could go on, right? And Vidal Riley was one of the first to leave. Now Ben Whittaker. And Ben Whittaker being the biggest star. Right now, you have Adam Azim, you've Caroline Dubois, Lauren Price, Karis Artenstall, if I said Adam Azim, Callum Simpson, Fraser Clark, Jamie TKV. That's really it. None of them are names. Adam Azim, you tried, didn't happen. Or it hasn't happened as of yet. You've made some questionable decisions with him as well. He's good enough to fight for a European title, but he's not good enough to defend, or he's not ready to defend his European title against his mandatory Dalton Smith. Okay. Anthony Joshua was good enough to fight for a world heavyweight title, and a year later he was good enough to defend it in a unification, even though he was fast-tracked likewise. So, there you're not making any sense there. So, as well as at the purse bids, there's so many things with Ben Shalom that have just been miffy, that you look at what's going on now and you think, you kind of brought it on yourself with everything that's happened. And losing again a star, let's be frank, that's what if he's not already that, he'll be that soon. A star like Ben Whittaker, that's not good. That's not good. You do this deal with BBC, which is terrestrial TV, which is not a bad deal, don't get me wrong. I mean, terrestrial TV, you have no issue with boxing being shown on there. But you've only got 4 dates. You have this deal with Turkey, but, is Turkey going to welcome a Fraser Clark? Is he going to welcome an Adam Azim over the likes of some of the guys that Frank Warren has, some of the American fighters that Eddie Hearn has, even some of the UK fighters? You know what I mean? It's supply and demand, I guess, at the end of the day. Ben Shalom doesn't have that. So right now, he's in a really, really tough space. And listen, I don't wish anything bad on Ben Shalom and Boxer or anything like that. I think it's a good thing that we have multiple big promoters. I think it shouldn't just be resigned to you're either with Frank or you're with Eddie. I think there should be other options there. You have Ben Shalom, you have Izzy Asif. But the difference is that Ben Shalom has seemed to be that promoter who's just not willing to play ball and try and think he can outsmart much more. It's like Frank Warren will eat Ben Shalom for breakfast. He'd eat him and spit him back out. There's just no point. I'm not saying defer and just say yes boss or anything like that, but the way Ben Shalom has handled certain things with purse bids, etc., that's just left a bad taste in my mouth. So this is where we stand with him. And yeah, I think Boxer, and again, I go back onto this, right? There's other things with Boxer as well. You're talking about a guy in Ben Shalom who multiple times now has done this, has had his fights go one-on-one with other fights. At the end of the day, at the end of this month, we have a very, very good fight in Joseph Parker versus Fabio Wardley. It's on pay-per-view. Some people don't like that. I get it. But at the end of the day now, you're going to take viewership away from that for a fight that is for the British title, but it's nowhere near as good of a fight. It's just not. And this has happened before. We don't even have an undercard for that fight announced yet. What the hell? Like, it just... Why'd you do this? You have 4 flipping dates and you still manage to hit in with one of them? Really? So, yeah. Those are my thoughts on that. Let me know yours in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, people, if you could, smash the like button, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. And until next time.